night owls. Every now and then, someone returns not with a new story, but with a continuation of one that never really ended. Officer Daniel Hayes has been here before. The last time he joined us, he told us about a call that still keeps him awake. Tonight, he's back, not to solve it, but to share what happened afterward. If you've ever wondered what waits behind the eyes of a camera lens, stay close. Hayes, it's good to have you back.
Thank you, Jacob, and thank you to everyone who listened the first time. Your messages, your questions, I read a few before I stopped reading them. Some of you said I sounded afraid. You were right. I still am. The story starts with a warehouse, Ridgeway Storage, behind the old mall. Dead place, cracked parking lot, weeds through the asphalt. I was working third shift, and dispatch sent me an alarm ping at 2:59 a.m. Nothing unusual about that. What was unusual was the air, the way it felt heavy before I even turned into the lot, like static, waiting for permission. I cut the lights, rolled slow. Motion sensors over the docks blinked in random order. 4, 2, 7, then darkness again. A cheap rhythm. I radioed in. Donna dispatch logged me. Routine. I walked the row of docks, checking locks. They all held, except someone had left a paper cup half full on a pallet jack. Still warm. That meant minutes, not hours. "Anyone here?" I called. The echo came back too fast, like the walls were closer than they looked. Then my radio cracked with a voice I didn't know. Low, calm. "He's under the camera." I looked up. Doc 5's bullet cam, that glossy black dome. Nothing beneath it but me. "Dispatch, repeat last." Donna. 21A, repeat last. I said, "Unknown voice on frequency." She didn't answer. Inside my cruiser, I pulled the remote feeds on the terminal. 8 cameras, 7 showed empty docks. The 8th, Doc 5, showed me, standing outside the car, looking up, like I was still out there. Same timestamp as the clock in front of me. The me on screen raised a hand, palm out, like he wanted me to stop. Backup request. ETA 7 minutes. I went back under that soffit anyway. Old habits die later than you do. Nothing there, just wiring and moths. Then my own voice came through the speaker. "Don't look up." I did. Nothing. Just a camera watching a man learning the shape of his own fear. Marcos arrived first. Tall, careful, the kind of guy who whistles to prove he's breathing. He joked about me swallowing a wire again. We cleared the perimeter, all quiet. I went home at dawn. The oven clock blinked 3:17, then corrected itself. A tiny glitch, easy to ignore if you want to sleep. Night 2, same shift. I wasn't assigned to Ridgeway, but I passed by. The building looked asleep, except one camera LED flickered like a heartbeat. I pulled the feed again. The office hall camera showed a man walking slowly under fluorescent buzz, hoodie up, phone glow under his chin. Timestamp 3:17:02. I radioed. Donna confirmed no one had keys. Then, the hallway lights inside blinked on. One, then none. The reception bell rang, one perfect chime. Glass shattered inward from the front door, a spider web that stopped an inch from my chest. I stepped back, gun down, but ready. Nothing on the floor, Nothing outside. Marcos arrived 7 minutes later. We cleared again, everything fine, except for the camera feeds looping like old film stock. Tech said later, time-based drift, his version of don't ask questions you can't diagram, but 317 stuck in my head. 2 nights later, Ring camera pings started coming from the houses around Ridgeway. Always the same time, always empty porches. People woke to the chime of motion alerts, opened their phones, saw nothing. One woman, Mrs. Ames, called me because her doorbell cam caught knocking. 3 knocks, friendly, measured. No one there. "Is it kids?" she asked. "Probably," I lied. She played it again. The peephole went dark and light, like an eye blinking. The sound on the clip was too clean, too close. Recorded inside, not outside. I took the video, labeled it 0317R, same folder as Ridgeway. I didn't file a report. I didn't know what code to write in the box. Then Mr. Archer called. Older man, lived alone, said his television was watching itself. The house smelled like dust and paper. He pointed to the blackout curtain behind his TV. He said, "The reflection. It shows me sitting before I sit." We waited with him till after 3. Nothing. When we left, I told him to get some sleep. And the cruiser? I checked his indoor cam feed, one he forgot to unplug. The screen showed his recliner empty, curtain breathing slow, then a hooded head filled the frame. It turned toward the lens and tilted, the way a man does when he's listening hard. I closed the laptop and drove without talking. Every porch cam on that block sent motion thumbnails at 317. 8 empty porches. 8 smudges of frost near each doorbell. At home, I poured a drink and stared at the screen till my reflection stopped matching my breathing. The body cam upload finished instantly. Too fast. The file labeled itself #mismatch, then fixed itself. The next afternoon, I woke to a voicemail from an unlisted number. The transcription read, "Don't look up." The voice was mine. That night, I called my father. We don't talk. Haven't since Mom's funeral. I didn't tell him about Ridgeway or 317. I asked if he still had his old Nikon. He said, "Yeah. You can have it." When he laughed, he said, "Danny." "Yeah. Cameras make liars out of everyone." I didn't ask what he meant. Back home, I loaded film, set the Nikon on a tripod facing my apartment door, long exposure cable ready. At 3:17 a.m., 3 soft knocks. The pee-hole dimmed and cleared. I triggered the shutter, 12-second exposure. The air tasted metallic, like a penny between your teeth. When I developed the film before sunrise, the negative looked blank until I magnified the pee-hole ring. A face leaned close, too close, grain swirling like iron filings under a magnet. I printed it, slid it into a file folder, and tried not to think about whether magnets attract something or hold it back. That same evening, Marcos and I patrolled the neighborhood again. "If it wants us, it can come to us," he said, joking, not joking. We parked with phones off, Windows cracked, radio silent. At 3:17, nothing. 5 minutes later, my body cam powered itself on. Screen blue, firmware V3.17. It vibrated once and said, "Calm as an app. Face detected." The display showed a green box hovering mid-windshield, tracking nothing. I powered it down, Marcos whispered. "I don't think it's ours anymore." The box expanded, filled the screen, vanished. Then the same voice, "Don't look up." Neither of us did. We drove 3 blocks without speaking. At a stoplight, a kid in a Spider-Man blanket stood on the curb holding a tablet. The preview on his screen showed a hooded figure swaying like it was underwater. "Mom says it's broken," he told us. His mother called from the townhouse and took his hand. In the tablet's reflection, that green box blinked once, then faded. When I got home that morning, I put the camera on its dock and turned the phone off. The apartment was quiet in that wrong way. Too round, too padded. I showered, shaved, tried to think of normal things. Bills, groceries, my father's Nikon sitting on the counter. Around noon, my phone lit up by itself. 3 missed calls from an unlisted number. The voicemail was 13 seconds of silence, except for a soft pulse like electricity under skin. When I held it to my ear, the speaker warmed. A whisper. My own voice again said, "Face detected." That night, I left the phone off and slept in the recliner. The Nikon faced the window. At 3:17 a.m., a soft buzz came from the smoke detector above the door. 1 red blink, 2, 3, pause, 2, then quiet. The next morning, I developed the new roll. Same pattern, grain swirling around an outline of a head that wasn't mine. Marcos called midday. "Got a welfare check, same neighborhood." I almost said no. Instead, I said, "I'll meet you there." House was empty, family on vacation, security system sending alerts every night at, of course, 3:17. We sat in the cruiser watching the front lawn shimmer and heat. Marco said, "Danny, ever think we're not supposed to see everything?" I told him cameras don't lie. He looked at me a long time. They don't, but the people who build them might. We didn't talk after that. Later that week, IT called me down. "Your body cam server's full. Every clip duplicated." How many? Thousands. Each file was 13 seconds long, all stamped the same minute. The thumbnails looked identical, dark frames, but when I opened one, the image brightened half a stop at a time until a face pressed against the lens. No features, just pressure. The tech laughed nervously. "Glitch, probably echo caching." I told him to delete them. He tried. The progress bar hit 99% and froze. The monitor flickered. The words "Access denied, version 3.17" filled the screen. I signed out. He rebooted. The drive spun until it sounded like a voice trying to clear its throat. That night, I left the camera in a drawer. I unplugged the TV, the router, everything. Sat in darkness. At 3:17 a.m., the drawer rattled once. Then the apartment door camera light came on. Except I'd removed its batteries. I heard a knock. 3 calm raps. "Police," I said automatically, voice cracking halfway. Silence answered. Then, very faint, from the hallway, "Face detected." I didn't open the door. 2 days later, Marco stopped showing up. His wife called the station. He'd left for work, never arrived. His cruiser was found 2 blocks from Ridgeway Mall, doors locked, engine running. Dashcam recording length, 13 seconds. I was the one who reviewed it. Frame 1, empty seat. Frame 5, driver's door opens. Frame 9, a shadow leans in, blocking the lens. Frame 13, static. They asked if I recognized anything. I said no. The footage uploaded itself to my 0317R folder later that night. I told myself I was done, but the department wanted the Ridgeway units inspected before handing over to demolition. I volunteered. Habit or guilt, maybe both. Sun high, broad daylight, cables coiled like snakes on concrete. The maintenance tech from before waved. "Hey, officer, fix that loop. Clean as a whistle now." I nodded. Inside, the warehouse looked smaller. A single bulb hung from the beam, swaying though there was no draft. Under Dock 5, an old DVR box blinked green. On its display, REC 317. I pulled the plug. The light stayed on. I said Jacob aloud before realizing who I'd called to. The bulb flared. Every monitor on the wall, dead screens, dust thick, came alive. My own face on each from different angles. In one I was looking up, and another down. None matched my current movement. Then all the mouths of those other me's opened at once. The sound came out low, dragging. "Don't look up." I did anyway. The ceiling was a mirror, wet, rippling. Something leaned over it, weightless, its hood spilling into shape. No eyes, only the reflection of the screens. My radio hissed. 21A, status check. Copy. Visual anomaly. Possible. The radio squealed so high it felt like it scraped bone. The lights blew. When I woke, I was outside, lying in the lot. Noon sunlight. My cruiser still idling. The warehouse doors were sealed with new locks. My hands smelled of burnt plastic. The body cam indicator flashed red. Recording. I hit stop. The screen read, "Transfer complete. V317. I left the force a week later. Turned in the gear. Kept the Nikon. Haven't taken another picture since. Some nights, the smoke detector still blinks that pattern. 3, pause, 2. I don't check anymore. If any of you still have a camera in your room, cover it tonight. Not forever, just until morning. Because sometimes a lens stops being a window and starts being a door. And sometimes the thing looking through learns your name. I don't remember driving home. I only remember the sky looking too still. No clouds, no wind, just the pale lid of morning. I parked outside my building and sat until the engine's ticking became another heartbeat. My hands wouldn't stop shaking, so I held the steering wheel like an anchor. When I finally went inside, the apartment lights came on by themselves. All bulbs at once. For a second, the place looked clean,
Safe. Then the oven clock blinked 3:17 p.m. and froze. I unplugged it, tore the cord from the wall. Still 3:17. The Nikon sat where I'd left it, film still inside. I lifted it, meaning to throw it away, but the shutter clicked on its own. The roll rewound halfway, then stopped. Through the viewfinder, the doorway shimmered as if heat moved behind it. A faint outline leaned forward, head first, followed by shoulders that didn't need to bend. The shape filled the frame until I couldn't see the door at all. Then the camera said, soft, through its internal speaker, something those models don't have, face detected. The film burned white. I left. No jacket, no badge, no weapon. Just a noise in my ears and that voice repeating inside it. I ended up at a diner off Highway 70. Half the lights dead, 2 truckers asleep over their coffee. The waitress kept glancing at me like I was a TV left on mute. A radio behind the counter played something between stations. Static, 3 clicks, pause, 2. I couldn't stay. I paid, walked outside, and the sky was the wrong color, an iron gray that made everything look underdeveloped. The air smelled like warm film. My phone, still powered down, vibrated. The screen lit on its own. Live view enabled. The front camera faced me. For a moment, my reflection looked normal. Then it blinked once, slow, deliberate, while my eyes didn't. I dropped the phone. It hit the asphalt and kept recording. On the screen, I saw the reflection in the diner window behind me. My own body walking toward the camera, though I hadn't moved. The video ended at 13 seconds. The department wrote the Ridgeway anomalies off as equipment interference. Marcos's disappearance stayed open until they quietly changed his status to missing off duty. I turned in my badge a week later. No hearing, no fuss. They looked relieved. The Nikon went into a box I sealed with duct tape and buried in the crawl space under my father's porch. I never told him why. He never asked. 3 months passed. Life almost returned to shape until last week. I was driving home from groceries, radio off, when the display on the dash glowed a dull orange and switched to the rear view feed even though the gear was in drive. The screen showed my back seat empty, except for a shimmer near the center. It thickened like dust caught in headlights, then formed a hooded curve. The car's speakers whispered, "Don't look up." I didn't. I drove until the tank hit empty, left the car on the shoulder, and walked the rest of the way home. That night, the smoke detector blinked 3, pause, 2, again. I stared at the ceiling until sunrise.
I know this sounds impossible. Maybe it is. Maybe a man who watches too many hours of grain and static ends up building a pattern that only he can see. But if that's all it was, it should have faded when I stopped watching. It hasn't. I think whatever lives inside those cameras doesn't care about sight. It cares about attention. The moment you realize you're being watched, you finish building the doorway from your side. And once it knows your name, it doesn't need the lens anymore. The last photo the Nikon ever took was of me, standing in front of my apartment, daylight on my face. When I developed it, every building in the background leaned inward, like perspective had decided to obey something else. Over my shoulder, barely visible, was a second me, head tilted, smiling the kind of smile that isn't meant for anyone living. That's when I knew I'd never go back to the force, never file the report, because if I wrote it down, if I named it in official language, someone would have to read it. And reading is another kind of looking. And the thing waits for people who look. So, Jacob, that's why I'm telling you here. Because your show isn't live. Because maybe static on tape is safer than a lens. Maybe the gaps between the words will hold it. Just, if you hear anything under my voice when you play this back, don't clean the audio. Don't amplify it. Let the noise be noise. That's what keeps it asleep.
Officer Hayes turned off the recorder after that. The line stayed open 33 seconds longer, long enough to capture the faint pop of film rewinding, then silence. He moved out of state soon after. The Ridgeway lot is gone now, paved and rezoned, but every new security system installed there crashes at exactly 3:17 a.m. Maybe that's coincidence. Maybe the ghosts we make with technology are just reflections with better memory. Whatever you believe, remember Hayes's last rule. If you ever hear the words "face detected" when nothing should be watching, don't look up. Sleep well, night owls. Keep your cameras off and your doors closed.